The year is 1683. The air over Central Europe is thick with the scent of sulfur, scorched earth, and the underlying rot of a summer-long siege. From the crumbling limestone walls of Vienna, the view is a nightmare made flesh. Beyond the fortifications, the horizon is choked by a sea of green and crimson tents, stretching as far as the eye can see. This is the army of the Ottoman Empire, nearly 150,000 strong, led by the ambitious Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa. Inside the city, the bells of St. Stephen's Cathedral do not ring for celebration, but for prayer. The city is starving. The walls are being hollowed out by Ottoman sappers digging tunnels of gunpowder. Vienna, the gateway to the west, is on the verge of collapse. If it falls, the heart of the Holy Roman Empire lies open, and the history of the world will be rewritten in a single afternoon. But high on the hills of the Kahlenberg, a shadow is moving. A sound like the rustling of 1,000 eagles begins to drift on the wind. The Winged Hussars have arrived. To understand how the world reached this tipping point, we must look at the Ottoman Empire in the late 17th century. For decades, the House of Osman had been the most formidable military machine on the planet. They called Vienna the Golden Apple, the ultimate prize that had eluded them for centuries. Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa believed that by capturing Vienna, he would cement his legacy and secure Ottoman dominance over the Mediterranean and Central Europe forever. In July of 1683, he finally arrived at the gates. The siege of Vienna was not just a battle of cannons. It was a battle of nerves. Mustafa chose not to launch a full-scale infantry assault on the walls, which would have cost him thousands of his elite janissaries. Instead, he chose to starve the city out and dig underneath it. For 2 months, the Viennese lived in a state of constant terror. They could hear the rhythmic thud of Ottoman picks beneath their feet as miners burrowed under the city's bastions. Counterminers were sent down to fight in the dark, cramped tunnels, where men killed each other with knives and shovels in the bowels of the earth. By early September, the city was at its breaking point. Disease was rampant, the food was gone, and the outer defenses were a shambles. Count Ernst Rudiger von Starhemberg, the city's commander, sent a final, desperate message to the relief forces. There is no time to lose. While Vienna withered, a fragile coalition was forming. This was the Holy League, an alliance of the Holy Roman Empire and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, blessed by Pope Innocent XI. The man chosen to lead this disparate force was Jan III Sobieski, the King of Poland. Sobieski was a veteran commander who understood the Ottoman way of war better than anyone. He knew that the only way to save Vienna was a decisive, overwhelming strike that would break the Ottoman camp before the city surrendered. Sobieski's march was a feat of logistics, bringing together soldiers from across Germany and Poland. As they ascended the wooded heights of the Kahlenberg overlooking the city, they saw the sheer scale of what they were up against. The Ottoman camp was a city unto itself, sprawling and opulent yet fortified. On the morning of September 12th, the battle began. The early hours of the fight were a grueling infantry struggle. The Allied forces fought their way through the broken terrain and vineyards of the Vienna woods, slowly pushing the Ottoman flanks back toward their camp. Kara Mustafa, confident that his lines would hold, continued to focus his main efforts on blowing up the city walls, desperate to capture Vienna before the relief army could intervene. He underestimated the speed and ferocity of the coalition. By late afternoon, the Allied infantry had cleared the way. The stage was set for the largest cavalry charge in the history of warfare. Imagine the sight from the valley floor. 18,000 horsemen emerged from the tree line at the top of the hills. At the center were the Polish Winged Hussars, the most elite heavy cavalry in the world. They were a sight of terrifying beauty. Each rider wore a steel breastplate and a helmet adorned with brass. But it was the wooden frames attached to their backs or their saddles that gave them their name. These frames were lined with the feathers of eagles, ostriches, or swans. As they moved, the wind rushing through the feathers created a low, eerie hissing sound that could be heard over the din of battle. King Sobieski himself led the charge. He knew he had only one chance. The Hussars lowered their 18-foot hollow lances, designed to shatter upon impact but capable of piercing multiple enemies at once. With a single trumpet blast, the mass of horses began to move. First a trot, then a canter, and finally a full-speed gallop. The ground literally shook. Witnesses described it as a tide of steel and feathers that seemed to pour down the hillside like lava. The impact was cataclysmic. The Ottoman lines, exhausted from months of siege and the day's fighting, were not prepared for a heavy cavalry charge of this magnitude. The Hussars smashed through the Janissaries and the Sipahi cavalry with the force of a hurricane. The long lances reached the Ottoman infantry before their own blades could touch the Polish horses. Within minutes, the Ottoman center collapsed. The Grand Vizier, seeing his personal bodyguard slaughtered and his camp overrun, was forced to flee for his life, leaving behind his banners, his treasury, and his pride. The aftermath was a scene of total chaos. The Viennese, seeing the charge from the walls, broke out of the gates to join the slaughter of the retreating Ottoman forces. The Golden Apple had been saved in less than an hour of fighting. Sobieski entered the Grand Vizier's tent and, in a letter to his wife, famously paraphrased Julius Caesar, saying, "We came, we saw, and God conquered." The victory at Vienna was more than just a military triumph. It was a seismic shift in the global balance of power. It marked the definitive end of Ottoman expansion into Europe. From 1683 onward, the Ottoman Empire would be on the defensive, slowly receding over the next 2 centuries. For the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, it was the final, brilliant flare of its military might before its own internal struggles began to pull it apart. Today, the Winged Hussars are remembered as symbols of courage and military excellence. Their charge at Vienna remains a testament to the power of a decisive moment and the impact that a few thousand brave souls can have on the trajectory of human history. We often think of history as a slow, inevitable crawl, but on that September day in 1683, the fate of an entire continent was decided by the thunder of hooves and the rustle of feathers. As we look back at the walls of Vienna and the heights of the Kahlenberg, we are reminded that history is often made by those who are willing to charge into the unknown when all seems lost. The story of the Winged Hussars is not just a story of war, but a story of a miracle delivered at the very edge of the abyss. Thank you for watching.